Okay, so I've settled down in the hotel. So like I said, I have something I want to talk about. Pojoka. I want to talk about which just crossed my mind while I was in the air before the plane landed. So so it's about Pojo 605. You know, I think I've done a video on that before. I don't know. I think I was trying to respond to a question or something like that from someone that wanted to know about Project 605. Now I've owned the car, used it for over a year before I sold it. Um, it's quite an interesting car, because most people don't really know about it. Honestly, a lot of people don't even know that the Peugeot car with that model name 605 actually exists. Even though quite a number of them are no longer on the road. I mean, the ones produced, they actually have gone into the wind. You hardly see them on the road anymore, but they're actually quite an interesting car. So I just want to share some stressing experiences I had with that car. The very first time I did a long distance with that car, and I was actually driving the car from Abuja, no, from Lagos to Abuja, So I think about how many kilometers, I don't know, but like 2 hours or thereabout into the journey, the car started having brake, the brake band issue. The brake, the front, one of the brake, I think the driver's side, right? Yeah. Hmm? I don't remember, but I know one of the front brake in the front brake, the wheel in the front was having a brake binding issue. By brake binding, I mean the wheel was breaking itself. That's the caliper was holding, or the more like the pad. No, the caliper shoot out. The pinion, the caliper shoot out the brake pads and was gripping on the disc even without the driver's input or applying the brake. So it got to a point, in fact, even the car even started overheating, which was a different thing anyway, as a different cause. But I just got to a point it was no longer able to make any serious movement. So I found where I could disconnect the brake on that particular wheel altogether. Disconnected it as in blocked it. So the fluid was no longer getting to that caliper. So it now means I was now running with three wheels. Only three wheels we are working with brake. The one on the right side, front, and the rear two wheels. And of course, when you lock one of the front wheels, you're supposed to start to experience pull to one side when you touch the brake pedal. I mean, the car will start tilting towards one side whenever I touch the brake pedal, because remember, the front brake is the one that usually take the most of the pressure when trying to stop the vehicle in motion. So that what they do most of the braking work. So at a point, I was being careful because I know I was expecting it, that the car is supposed to the brake performance will drop and the car will be shifted to one side, which will make it very dangerous when you're high speed. But because it was a long distance, all of a sudden I even forgot about it and just kept, I went back to my normal speed, and it just occurred to me like 2 3 hours into the journey that, oh, actually I did this work I did. It's supposed to be, the car is supposed to pull but I totally forgot. And on high speed, I will break it and it will stop without the steering wheel pulling to any side or the nose of the car shifting to the front or the tail. As in, I just became madly in love with that car. I was like, this was the first time I drove a car because I know I've been driving before then, driving other vehicles that once you lock even just one wheel, not just the front, even one of the rear wheels, if you're on high speed and you brake it very hard, you see it tilt or pull towards one side, as in the one that still has complete two. If you do it like that, so you do it on the rear side of the wheel, on the right side, you find out that when you brake hard, the left side, it will pull towards the left side, even though it's at the wheel. The tail will shift up a little towards the right left side. But in this case, it was not doing that. As in, it was as if the car was, I don't know. And another thing was, I can also remember there was a time I loaded it up and very, very, I forgot how many kg, but I know it was close to, if not over 200 kg. The car just leveled himself. Leveled himself, as in, it wasn't like the tail shifted down because it's a VC, so it has a variable suspension, you know. So, um, there are actually quite some negative unpleasant, let me use the word unpleasant, that sad experience I had with the car. Mostly in journeys, well, luckily sad because it ended up becoming an interesting experience. I remember one of my journey or trips with the car. That was after Lokoja. I've done over 300 kilometers, like 4 hours. Or let's just say about close to 4 hours into the journey. The clutch cable cut or broke, whatever I want to call it. So, was that fun? Seriously, after then, I was like, hey, would I ever drive another car that uses clutch cable? I don't know if I will. As in, I was like, wow, I still have another, like 400 kilometers to cover. Or thereabout. What are you saying? Well, not even four, like close to 500 kilometers. Okay, no, okay, not up to 500. Maybe like 3 to 400 kilometers. Another, yeah, additional, like 5 hours that I still need to drive into the journey, and the cable cut. And what it means, once it cut, of course, whoever that understand what I'm saying means you can no longer clutch down the pedal and change the gear. Wow. Well, of course, because before then, I've always been a manual guy or a stick guy. So stick shift. So before then, I've already had the knowledge of how you can actually shift gears. Yes, in manual cars without even touching the brake pedal. No, the clutch pedal. Which, of course, it won't be. It's not like going to be a smooth process. But then I knew you can. I did it before, like 2 or 3 times before that incident, this particular one happened. So the knowledge was there already, but it's not something you want to do on that kind of distance. It's something you apply in terms of emergency, like, okay, maybe I'm in the city and it caught. You can manage to drive it to the nearby workshop or take it home, then pack it, depending when you fix it, or simply drive to the workshop. But in this case, in a long journey in the middle of nowhere, so it wasn't fun. Funny enough, I still did the distance, drove it, even in the horrible traffic along Obulafo. I did it. Even drove it that time sef, they've not had a bypass at Opi Junction that will take you to Transekulu, direct into the Enugu town. No, that time you still have to follow night mile, and it was a festive period, so even the hold up, the terrible traffic jam that usually happen at night mile in Enugu was still there. Say, as in, wow. I remember getting into town, Enugu town, around 12 a.m. or thereabout. It was that bad, you know. But it was kind of interesting. The next day I fixed it. I drove it to Tinka. That's uh, go camp Enugu. I have it. In fact, I did a fresh. I ended up constructing. That's one good thing about Enugu. Instead of replacing the cable, they told me they can even construct another one. And in that process, I decided to do two, so that if one comes next, I can always have. So I kept a spare one. So one thing about cars, sometimes you meet some unpleasant experiences, driving them, and at the end of the day, you just realize that it's just an experience. It's just that it's not a pleasant one, or the one that, but it's not that bad. I mean, for me to even do that kind of long distance without clutch. Yeah, because I didn't use clutch anymore. I didn't even touch it. And funny enough, it's not like I was driving only on one gear. No, I kept shifting up to the entire fifth gear. Not that I was not doing high speed, but at least close to 100 kilometers per hour. Still on the normal gears. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because it's 5-speed manual. So, you know, that's why I always tell people, anything you are doing, try and get good at it. You don't need to be that good at it, but at least learn it. Don't need to be on doing it like, let me just no, learn that thing. Let it be an experience. Learn it. Get that knowledge, because someday it's going to, help you, or pull you to a circumstance that if you really apply that knowledge, you're going to be horrible. Imagine if I didn't know how to drive a manual car, change gears without touching the clutch pedal. How do you think I would have done? As in, was that bad? So the other things, I mean, I did a lot of journey. Most, I would say, 80% of the time, or 90% of the time, we are all pleasant experiences I have with the car in long journey. I enjoy my project car mostly on long journey, not even a city drive. Yeah, city drive, I do enjoy them. Do I still have more to talk? Well, I don't know. So the question now is, what actually led to this self power that made me to share this experience, was because I was like, hmm, you know, if opportunity comes up, or that there's another good, or will I buy another 605? I can't say for sure. The thing is, I've enjoyed it, and the one I bought was also I used was also a V6, almost same engine, similar engine in my Peugeot 505 V6. So it's not like buying it. I'm going to experience something different. No, in terms of the handling and the rest, it's different from that of 505, but in terms of power, it's almost the same. Front wheel drive, not bad. In fact, that was the first car. Before I was thinking that, probably the Peugeot 505 might be my last Peugeot car. So since then I couldn't, I was thinking that the rear front wheel drive cannot handle as good as my Peugeot 505 V6 was doing, until I bought that 505 V6, no, 605 V6, and it changed my perspective on front wheel drive. I realized that, yeah, even if other front wheel drive suck, but that of Peugeot is something else. So ever since then, you know. So I don't know if I will ever consider buying another one. But will I buy one with PRV engine? Like I said, I already have it. The only PRV engine, or V6 engine in 605 I may consider, is that of ES9J4. Simply because the parts can still be accessed. It's not like they are available as that of the ES9J4S or ES9A, but at least the ones you can easily access, unlike the ZPJ and ZPJ4. That's the PRV engine V6 engine in 605 V6. So those ones are great. In fact, I prefer them. Honestly, I would prefer them to, in terms of fun or in terms of aggressiveness, I kind of prefer them to that of ES9J4. But then, you know, at the end of the day, we don't want a car where even if any small thing that fails, you have to park the car for a long time before you get a pass. Now, I know one guy that sells pass in Abuja, but it's just only one person. Okay, like two. So it means you are not limited to only those guys. So if they don't have anything or the price become too, I just don't want that have that kind condition when it comes to pass or vehicles. So but if I were to buy, yes, I'll look for phase two, not phase one. Phase one that makes sense to me would have been the one with that what's it? I've forgotten the modern the one with 24 valves. V6, the first V6 with 24 valves. That's ZPJ4. But simply because the engine parts not easily available, so ES9J4 will make sense. And for the four cylinders, I wouldn't even touch any of them. I don't care. Most of them have carburetor engines. There's nothing wrong with it, but I don't think so. Then there are some with SU. Is it SU engine? I know it's S something. Yeah, so yeah, the later ones, the phase two, most of their four cylinders, I believe they are all EF5, electronic fuel injection engines. So, but there will be, I don't think any car, any 605 that doesn't have up to that V6 power, I don't think it will make any sense. Just like 607, they are huge cars, so it needs some power to be able to pull very well. So yeah, for those who don't know about it, it's a very fun car, especially those V6 one, trust me. So I just wanted to point it out. It was quite interesting during the ownership. I loved the experience I had with the car, both the pleasant and the unpleasant, or both the positive and negative. I love every one of them. It made me know more about Peugeot car. They made me. I'm talking about even the negative ones. They made me actually form more, uh, or kind of, I don't know. You know, when some things there's some challenges you go through and you come out of the other end and you feel good about yourself. You know, considering that we were able to do this and come out of it on scratch, gathered more knowledge out of it, and it kind of help you too to choose something, make a better choice, or choose something that okay, if you could handle this, it means this one wouldn't even be a problem in the first place. That's because this difficult one you were able to pull through it and come out of it, means this one will be pepper soup. So that's all. Just wanted to share this knowledge, more like experiences I had with it. So anybody considering it, maybe where you stay, there, because I know each time I pass through Lokoja, whenever I'm doing long distance driving or traveling, I always see a lot of Peugeot 605 in Lokoja. So over there, they may not have problem with accessibility of pass. In fact, the person that eventually bought mine came all the way from Lokoja, bought it and travels the same day to Lokoja. So I think they have a lot of it over there. Maybe other parts of the country I don't know about, Nigeria, and then other parts of the world. Maybe the thing is, 605 is no longer that common. You hardly see them, but they are there for those who want them or don't know about them. If you want, you can get it. No. So it was a good experience during the ownership, and I always love the car, even though I no longer own one or have one. Alright, guys, that's all for now. This is Lion King Monk signing off. Yeah, yes, I'm enjoying the place. I still have a few more days to stay here in Lagos. Any more videos? I think I'll see one or two more videos. Alright, that's all.